The sands of Egypt still tell old stories. These are stories from a long, long time ago. They are about powerful kings called pharaohs and gods made of gold. Lately, new stories have started to come out. Smart people are listening very carefully to these stories. They are finding clues in old stones. These clues show there might be a secret truth. It's a truth about how kings told their stories and how they wanted people to see them. It's like opening a new window. This window helps us look into the minds of people from old Egypt. We learn what they believed. We see how kings wanted people to see them. Sometimes these stories were changed just so. They changed them for a reason, to make the king look strong. Imagine finding a message from the past, a message hidden for thousands of years. These smart people are like detectives who study time. They put together old puzzles. Each piece tells us a little more about a king who had big problems, maybe even the famous Moses. Dr. Colleen Darnell is very smart. She knows a lot. She studies old Egyptian writing and their amazing art. She looked at writings on the walls at Karnak Temple. Karnak is a very big, old place. It's full of carvings and special picture writing called hieroglyphs. What she saw made her wonder. The kings seemed too perfect. They seemed like heroes in every way, almost too good to be true. The temple walls told big stories. They said the king never lost a fight. He was always smart and strong. The gods loved him very much. He was their special person on earth. But something felt like it was not there. The stories didn't talk about hard times. They didn't talk about sickness or bad things happening, only endless winning and being great. Dr. Darnell thought this perfect picture was strange. Could any king be so perfect? History usually tells us that even the best leaders have good times and bad times. The writings felt like a show, like they were trying very hard to make the king look good to everyone. Perhaps they were hiding something, or maybe they wanted people to forget things that didn't make the king look perfect. Another smart person found something amazing. Egyptologist Jean-Guillaume Aulet-Pelletier. He studied a tall stone monument in Paris. It's called an obelisk. This tall stone is very old. It came from Luxor Temple in Egypt. It was a gift to France a long time ago. This stone had secret messages. They were hidden in its picture writing, a code from over 3,000 years ago. The stone was made for Ramesses II. He was a very famous and powerful king. When people were fixing the stone, they found something. Mr. Aulet-Pelletier found special secret hieroglyphs. This is a kind of writing that's like a secret code. Not many people knew it. 7 of these hidden writings were found. They were from around 1280 BC. That's a very long time ago. These messages said good things about Ramesses II. They said he had a special right from the gods to be king. The secret writings were very smart. They showed that the king had great power. They said he was chosen by the gods. They even said he came from the gods and had the right to be king forever. Ramesses II is the king we are talking about. He was king for a very long time, from about 1279 to 1213 BC. People often call him Ramesses the Great. He was known for building many things and for being king for a long important time. Many smart people think he might be the king from the story of Exodus, the king who was against Moses. Ramesses had reasons to make himself look good. Some people say he was not born as a god. This could have made it hard for him to be king. So he worked hard to show he was like a god. He showed respect at Egypt's big holy places. He might have told the priests what to say or do. He even changed his kingly name. His new name, Usermatra Setapenra, meant chosen of Ra. Ra was the strong sun god. The writings on the tall stone and the perfect picture at Karnak match what Ramesses was trying to do. He wanted to show he was super powerful and very close to the gods. Words like never lost a fight were used a lot, also always smart and loved by the gods. Scene 5. The king's big voice, making himself look like a god. Old Egyptian kings knew about power. They knew it was super important how people saw them. Kings in Egypt were more than just kings. People saw them as gods on earth, or at least chosen by the gods. They had to keep showing people they were like gods. This was the main reason they had power. So they used many ways to create this picture of themselves and show it to everyone. Big buildings were one main way. Giant temples like Karnak and Luxor, tall stone towers and huge statues. These were not just to look nice. They were like giant signs for the king, covered in picture writing and art. These told stories about how great the king was, how he won fights and how much he respected the gods, his special connection with the gods. Parties and celebrations were another important way, big public parties like Ope. At these parties they would show off pictures or statues of the king. Rich people and regular people would see. They would see the king's power, and that he was connected to the gods. The reason for all this showing off was clear. Scene 6. Hiding the truth, stories and the Exodus mystery. These new things people found start up an old argument. Could these stories be hiding something specific? Something like what happened in the Exodus story? The Bible tells about bad sicknesses in Egypt. It also tells about Hebrew slaves escaping, with Moses leading them. Things like that would make any king look bad and lose power, a disaster for the country, and make the king feel ashamed. If Ramesses II was the king in the Exodus story, he would have had a big problem. His land would be ruined by sickness, many of his workers would be gone. His army would have lost at the Red Sea. This doesn't make him look like a god king. Not never lost a fight or always smart. So what would a king do? He might try to make everyone forget. This makes people think of an interesting idea. The writings that look too perfect, the secret messages that say the gods loved him. Could these be like a wall of stories? A special plan to cover up the truth, to change history to make the king look good? This idea is strong, but not everyone agrees with it. Gap 2S. Scene 7. Looking at the clues smart people talk about the past. The idea that these stories were a cover-up, especially for the Exodus story, is something smart people are talking a lot about. They don't all agree. History can be understood in different ways. This is especially true for old times and writings that mix made-up stories with real memories. The new things people found make the argument bigger, but they don't solve it completely. Some smart people are not sure about the Exodus story, at least not exactly how the Bible tells it. They say there's not much real proof. No clear proof from digging in Egypt that lots of slaves escaped, or that there were big sicknesses. For them, the Exodus is a strong story about being free and having faith, but maybe it didn't happen exactly like that in history. So, there would be nothing to hide. Other smart people think the Exodus story is based on real things that happened, even if the story changed over time. Maybe a smaller group of people escaped, or maybe there were hard times that got turned into a bigger story later on. For these smart people, Egyptian kings like Ramesses II would definitely hide things like that. It was normal for them to show off when they did well, and to ignore or say little about when they failed. Smart people like Mr. Olet Pelletier are sharing what they find. Scene 8. Old tricks, new ways, how stories were told through time. Using stories to make people think a certain way is not new. It's as old as having power over others. What Ramesses II did with stone, kings and leaders have done all through history. They used whatever they had. The reason is often the same. To make people think a certain way, to show they have the right to be in charge, to control the stories, and to make leaders look strong and good. Long ago, these stories used big buildings and old tales. They used parties and art that everyone could see. The messages were about having the right from God to rule. They were about winning fights and having good times. It was about making everyone believe the same thing, that the ruler was great. This helped keep things peaceful and helped the ruler stay in power. It was a very important part of being in charge. Today, the ways are different. We have TV, radio, the internet, social media, and news all day and night. These kinds of stories can spread much faster now and reach many more people. Some ways are fake news, telling only some parts of a story or trying to make people feel strong emotions. Scene 9. Looking for hidden meanings. Why old secrets are still important. Why do these old writings matter today? They are more than just interesting old things. They teach us about power. They show us how leaders have always tried to control stories. Understanding this is very important. It helps us think more carefully. It helps us notice how people tell us things about the past and about today. This is something that is always important to know. Trying to find these old hidden stories is part of a bigger search for what's true. It reminds us that history is not simple. The official stories might not tell everything. We need to look for hidden meanings. We need to ask questions about the stories we hear. What Dr. Darnell wondered about at Karnak, and what Mr. Olet Pelletier found on the tall stone, show why it's good to think this way. The talk about Ramesses II and the Exodus story shows how things from the past still affect us. They change what people believe about religion and who they feel they are. Understanding how these stories were made, and maybe changed by powerful people long ago, helps us understand more about history and faith, and how complicated they are.